did you enjoy the music, the improvisation of nature, the wind, the sounds, water, and that really inspires me in my own music. And I'd like to play this song here as an opening song to the evening. I titled it Haven. I wrote it when the tsunami happened, and that was really quite a tragic event, around the world. And I realized that the biggest need people have today is for a haven, a safe haven, a sanctuary. And so if we can offer that up, even tonight, in our energy, that's all it takes.
Matanka dakuwakan ushimala umakiayo. Creator and all that is sacred, we ask that you take pity on us. We're in need of help today. Tunkashela wamayanka yo chewakielo. Makasitumnia yuhahoya waingtelo namakuyelo. Wichoni yelo. Grandfather, we ask that you look this direction. We're standing here and we're shouting our prayer all throughout Mother Earth. And this is the way that we want to live. Tunkashela wopidayelo. Ampetukile wakayelo. Mitakuye o mazaniktelo. Wopidayelo. Grandfather, on this sacred day, we ask that you hear our thanksgiving for the health of all of our relatives. Wakataka Oshemalayo Wakataka Oshemalayo Omakiayo Omakiayo Dakuwaka Omakiayo Oshemalayo Omakiayo Hey Wakataka Oshemalayo Wakataka Oshemalayo Omakiayo Omakiayo Hey Dakuwaka Omakiayo Oshemalayo Omakiayo Prophet Ayelo.
Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. Welcome to our special September 11th monthly Interfaith prayer service. And thank you both to Nelan and Thea and to Forrest for the wonderful music and songs of prayers. So we couldn't possibly do this service for last 18 years without the support of these wonderful interfaith angels. I call them interfaith angels amongst us. And I know quite a few of them here, right here in this room, and I thank you for being here to watch over us. Okay, so we also thank you all, the participants and the people who are present in the pews. That's too many P's there. So without you, there will be no fun to do these services. Okay, so our gratitude to you all for attending and supporting the interfaith services, month after month, year after year. Thank you, Paulette. Yeah, okay. So just a few reminders. I didn't even bring my cell phone, but if you did bring it, please put it on airplane mode. We are not in the airplane, but keep it quiet. If you need assistance, you can ask anybody with a badge like that. If you need to, I don't know if we have childcare. Do we have childcare? No, we don't have childcare. But if you need to use the restrooms, they're through the back doors there on the left. And there are flyers on the back table for community events that are happening. Feel free to look at them afterwards. And since this is a prayer service, we hope you will refrain from applauding until the very end. And when we have the closing remarks, at that time, we will have a chance to appreciate all the wonderful words of wisdom that we're going to hear tonight, and the songs and prayers. Okay, so the theme this evening is the power of one. One heart, one hope, one community. Last week I went to see a movie in the metro, downtown metro. It was called A Free Trip to Egypt. Has anybody seen that? Wonderful movie, right? Wonderful movie. It's about kindness and compassion, about the hope of building an interfaith community of Christians, Muslims, and Jews who understand each other and coexist as friends, not just in the US, but all over in the world, including in Egypt. So you might ask, what is so special about a community? Well, in community, we understand each other, we share our common values, we communicate, we care and help each other out in times of need. We pray together, we gather around a table together, and we celebrate important passages of time. At home, recently I was doing this evening prayers at our own home, and in front of us, on our altar, we have a diversity of gods and goddesses. Some of you have come to visit our home, you can probably see that. With all kinds of statues and photos of gods, goddesses, not just from Hinduism, but also from Buddhism and Christianity. And then, of course, we have our spiritual teacher, Amma, who guides over us and makes sure we are doing it in the interfaith way. In fact, this symbol that you see, interfaith symbol, I got it from Amma, from her Amma's shop, and she blessed it. So we have a beautiful spiritual community where there's only oneness, a powerful oneness, no conflicts, the statues don't fight, no contradictions. They all coexist in harmony, just like here we are in this wonderful church, the first interfaith church, as Dan knows, right? Okay, so did you know that, I think I have told this several times, that the very first interfaith prayer service that was held in modern times in this country was in Chicago on September 11th, 1893. Oh, and that was the Parliament of World Religions. In Hinduism, since I'm going to talk a little bit about Hinduism, we are taught that while there is an apparent diversity in this world, when we advance on the spiritual plane, when we rise above this material plane, we will see that there's only one consciousness, only one God, and one Creator. And we are part of the creation, and therefore part of the Creator. There is no us and them, no duality, and so we all have the divinity, but it is latent. I forget it sometimes, some of us forget it sometimes, but we can realize it, and that's what we call God realization. So in this world, we see diversity, but in the spiritual world, there is none. And when we reach that oneness, in that blissful state, we will see no distinctions of race, religion, culture, and languages, and nations, and states. We will feel at one with everyone, anywhere and everywhere. And we will find the power of one within us as well. So I'm looking forward to listening to the wisdom from all the various traditions and friends who are here representing those. And I know you are too, so I will stop right now. And let's welcome the presenters. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I am Dan Bryant, one of the pastors of this congregation, and it has indeed been our deepest honor to host this service for the past 18 years, that with your help we might turn something horrendous into something good. And I tonight hope that we can do that once again. So let me explain. Besides the beautiful historic building that has stood here in the heart of Eugene since 1911, this church, I think, is pretty well known in this community for two things. This interfaith service, the only one like it that I know of in the country, and the work that we do in this congregation with the homeless. And for me, these two things are actually natural outcomes of a basic belief that I suspect many of you share, and that is that every person is a child of God and deserves to be so treated. And when those planes hit the Twin Towers of the Pentagon 18 years ago, no one cared about the religious tradition of the victims in those buildings or those planes. It did not matter what country you were from or whether you were documented or undocumented. The first responders did not ask if someone was binary or non-binary, rich or poor, housed or unhoused. Not one of those victims deserved to die in such a horrible manner. Each, in my view, was a child of God who deserved better, just as every person here reflects in that same way the spark of divinity, or in secular terms, the essence of life. To honor that, to treasure it, to hold it as holy, sacred, and good is the highest value of so many of our teachings, that one that is in each and every one of us. I arrived at work 2.5 weeks ago to what appeared to be a crime scene. Police tape sanctioned off most of the block behind the church. And I'd like to share with you just a little bit of what I posted on Facebook. We knew the victim, though we did not know her name. The police officer asked me if she was deaf. I thought it was an odd question until I realized why he asked it. She was a new guest at our Sunday morning breakfast the morning before. She didn't quite understand the way things worked, or maybe she didn't care, bringing her bicycle inside only to be told she could not do that, and then walking past all of the hungry guests standing in line waiting to get their food. But no one objected. Maybe they understood that there are times when you need to give someone benefit of the doubt after a hard night on the street. She didn't interact much with others, seemed at times to be in a trance, just staring at the distance and hardly moving. And I suppose lack of sleep will do that to a person. Though she arrived with a bicycle, she didn't leave with one, someone else did. And that happens a lot when you don't have a means to secure your belongings. She also arrived with a down sleeping bag full of holes, feathers floating around her like fairy dust. Our janitor, God bless him, brought out a garbage bag for her so that she could hopefully contain the feathers. She did not especially like that idea, as if that somehow was containing her spirit, floating freely with the wind. Nowhere to go, bicycle already gone, she remained in the parking lot all day and into the evening. The security video shows her meandering about, sitting on the curb, randomly moving some of her few belongings from one spot to another. The neighborhood security patrol asked her to move on early that afternoon. She asked them how she would go about renting a parking space. We have places to park cars, why not people? She remained in the alley most of that day. Around 9 p.m., the video shows her lying down near the bicycle cages of our neighbor. And there she stayed for 2 hours before getting up and wandering about, and then eventually down the alley and out of sight. Did she move because other people in the area who appear to interrupt her sleep? That happens a lot when you don't have a bed of your own. Someone found her the next morning in the lot next door, still in her sleeping bag, feathers scattered about, aimlessly floating in the wind. Tire tracks indicated a large truck, later identified as a garbage truck, the kind that makes loud beeping noises when it backs up to warn any wayward spirits of the impending danger. Hit and run, they said in the news, but running does not describe a lumbering truck slowly moving down the dark alley. Did she hear and not care? Or maybe she was just too tired from nights wandering the street with nowhere to sleep. Birds have nests and foxes have dens, Jesus once said, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. The difference between then and now is that Jesus didn't have to contend with 20-ton garbage trucks that threatened to crush worn-out sleepers. Instead, they crucified him. Crucified, crushed. What's the difference? Wasn't his death supposed to make all other sacrifice unnecessary? Jesus also said, I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. So did we. We fed that one. But what she needed was a safe place to sleep. I weep for the woman whose name we did not know then. I remember the name we now know, Annette Montero, mother of two, whose first news in over a decade of their mother was of her untimely death. I pray for them, and I pray for that one unsuspecting driver who knew not what he had done. I pray for the many others without dens or nests, and that death for lack of a safe place to sleep will be no more, because we found a place for each person to lay their head, each a child of God who deserves no less, that we might turn something horrendous once again into something good.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum. Since I can't speak for 1.6 or whatever that number is billion Muslims around the world, I'm going to talk about them. So, not all Muslims are bad. And not all Muslims are good. If you think that I'm going to be overstating the obvious, you're right. But I'm not done. I want you to know that in the US and around the world, there are many Muslims who are terrible, mean, nasty, scary, greedy, They worship the dollar. They steal, they lie. And they're cruel. I also want you to know that there are Muslims around the world, including in the US, who are very kind, very loving, very decent, very honest. Ones who don't worship the almighty dollar. They worship a mightier God. Ones who raise their families on morality. Ones who care about their neighbors. Ones who want to be part of a world community. Ones who are charitable. They give, not just of their possessions, but of their hearts. One more time for overstating the obvious. If you take the word Muslim out of all the statements that I've made and replace it with any other noun of your choice, any other noun of your choice, you will find out that the statements are still true. That will give us little chance to pause and think that we truly are one. We truly are one people. Sometimes the obvious is not so obvious, and it does need to be overstated.
Good evening. I'm from the Eugene Meditation Group, and we're affiliated with Self-Realization Fellowship, a worldwide nonprofit religious organization with international headquarters in Los Angeles. Our guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, came to the West from India in 1920, bringing the sacred teachings of Kriya Yoga and a message of love and understanding between all people and of all religions when they realize their oneness in God. The following reading is taken from Yogananda's book, Journey to Self-Realization, and this was written in 1938. It's entitled, "What is True Equality of Man?" Truth is neither Western nor Eastern. It is the inalienable property of every soul that draws the breath of life. Likewise, the true equality of man lies not in the social, nor political, nor economic equality that people wrongly imagine will arrive someday, but in the equality of every soul before God, and in their equality to seek Him and to know Him. Without intelligence, it's impossible to understand anything properly. Everything should be judged intelligently on its own merits and not on baseless assertions or secondhand opinions. If one does not make an effort to discover truth beneath any and all perplexing veils, then one will never even know his own true nature and will remain the sport of outside forces and the slave of circumstance. Contempt for anything without investigation is the sign of a deluded person who will come to grief. One stipulation of Eastern teachings should be stressed is that enlightening instructions can be wholly comprehended only if one practices them regularly in his daily life, after receiving them from a true guru or teacher, one who possesses actual God realization. The wondrous light of truth that leads from the dark world of matter into the celestial powers of divinity is neither casually bestowed nor effortlessly embraced, and no effort should be considered too arduous to find that light and to follow it. All the world's great religions are based on common universal truths, which reinforce rather than conflict with one another. Practically all forms of religion and the basic systems of philosophy everywhere have drawn their inspiration from ancient scriptures. Every modern spiritual message of any power or vitality is a restatement in a new form of the truths pronounced ages ago by God-knowing sages of India and elsewhere. These illumined teachers devoted themselves exclusively to investigating spiritual laws and man's supernal potentialities, and in outlining paths of discipline for various natures to follow in order to bring out their soul's divinity and to achieve a reciprocal harmony with the cosmic forces of the universe. Mankind has only one real enemy: ignorance. Let us all work together for its annihilation, helping and cheering one another along the way. Stripped of ignorance, all souls stand in equal blessedness before our one Father, Mother, Friend, beloved God. And I close with Yogananda's prayer. Breathe in us the way to love you, that we may learn to faultlessly love you. Pour us the wisdom wine with which we become intoxicated with you. Whisper in our ears of silence the way to be with you always. May thy love shine forever upon the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om. Peace. Amen.
Good evening. Have you ever studied and recited a prayer intently over time and found you understood it less and less well? Last fall, in conjunction with a project at Temple Beth Israel, I began reciting the 23rd Psalm every morning. You may have heard it. The King James Version starts, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." But after a while reciting it like this, the image of being shepherded by some old white-bearded dude on a throne just didn't cut it for me anymore. So I looked around for some other language. In Hebrew, Lord is Adonai. So I've been trying, I don't know is my shepherd. Sounds like Hebrew, but it has a little more mystery to it. I don't know is my shepherd, I shall not want. I shall not want sounds pretty good to this Buddhist Jew that I am. But a more recent translation reads, I lack nothing. If I lack nothing, why do I need a shepherd to lead me around? But I want to focus on verse 5. The traditional version, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. A recent translation is, you spread a table for me in full view of my enemies. Pretty similar. But I have questions about this verse too. First, what kind of table are we talking about here? Could it be a card table? Is God suggesting that we gamble with our enemies? Nah, probably a table for eating, spread with lots of good food. But in full view of my enemies? Why not a table in a nice, safe bistro? Is that too much to ask? In full view of my enemies. Am I in full view of them, or they in full view of me, or both? We see one another. And finally, who are these enemies, I want to know? Are they outer or inner forces, or both? Well, for now, tentatively, I've concluded that I'm to see both inner and outer enemies, and they can see me. And it's up to me to take it all in, mindfully, of course, as a Buddhist Jew that I am. So if I see only outer enemies, whether they be promoting supremacy of some kind or just supporting a different political party, or if I see only inner enemies, my shortcomings, if any, for instance, I miss the main point. Here's the main point. There is a oneness beyond the more apparent duality that we've been hearing about tonight. And it's my job to see the wholeness of it all as clearly as possible. You've heard the motto on the Great Seal of the United States, E pluribus unum, from many one. And it probably comes from a line from Cicero. He said, when each person loves the other as much as oneself, it makes one out of many. Unus fiat ex pluribus. So, well, maybe it is, after all, a card table that's spread for us. And if so, it could be really a worthwhile gamble for us to live in full view of our inner and outer enemies and to work for the unity of all. I don't know. So now a few moments of silence, Arun tells me.
The power of one. I like that thing. That's such an important thing. And because it was so important, and because this is kind of a solemn occasion, I decided to go to my favorite book, the Bible, and pick out a story that, for me, emphasized the power of one. Now, many of you will know this story already, okay? And everyone should know the story. But it's the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, I don't have time to tell you the whole story. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to read just one little passage. Now, these were very learned young men. and they were under they were in captivity, really, under King Nebuchadnezzar, who was the big dog, of this period. And he thought he was all that, And he had his craftsman, King Nebuchadnezzar, make a golden statue that was 9 feet tall and made out of gold, the word says. And he said that when you hear the flutes and the horns and the harps make their noise, their music, everybody had to bow down to the statue. Everybody, stop what you're doing and bow down with your face to the floor or to the ground. And if you didn't do that, they were going to stuff you in the fiery furnace. He was going to have you killed. Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are Jews, and they worship the one true God. And so, of course, they were ratted out. So the enemy told the king that they're not bowing down. These Jews that you got over here, they're not bowing. Okay, so they were hauled into the king, and he was already mad. How dare you defy me? How dare you? And so they say to him, they're very, very polite young men. They say, "Oh, Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But," and this is the important line for me, "but even if he doesn't, your majesty can be sure that we will never serve your gods or worship the golden statue you have set up." And of course, when he heard that, he flew into a real rage. Now, he had the furnace heated 7 times its normal heat. Don't ask me how hot that was. I don't know. And the 3 men were tied, with their hands behind their back. And the word says that the furnace was so hot that when they were pushed into the furnace, the soldiers that pushed them in were killed instantly. That's how hot it was. And King Nebuchadnezzar got as close as he dared get to this furnace. And he looked down in it, and he saw 4 men walking around, strolling, like they were, out in the park, summer breeze. And he was so astounded. He said, "Didn't we put in 3 men?" And the soldier said, "Oh, yeah, we put in 3. Well, why do I see 4? And the 4th one looking like God." So they get them out. How they got them out, I don't even know. But they got them out. I mean, you wonder about these things, just like, the other guy said. They got them out, and their clothes didn't even smell like fire. They had no marks on them whatsoever. They were, I guess, fresh daisies. And the king says, "This God is God." Well, let me read what he said. "There is no other God who can rescue like this." Now, I tell you this story because, to me, this is what one person has to feel like. And we all can feel like it about certain things. Now, I'd like to mention the names of a few women that I admire. Can't do it all, okay? So if your favorite's not here, I apologize. I want to go to Sojourner Truth, born a slave, okay? Born a slave, couldn't read or write. One day she got to talking to God, or God got to talking to her, probably both, and she walked into freedom. She met up with some abolitionists, and she was a powerful speaker against slavery. The power of one person. Harriet Tubman, another little tiny lady, probably shorter than me. Okay? She couldn't read or write either. One day she escapes. And after she escapes, she goes back into the slave South 19 times and rescues others. They said she rescued about 300 people altogether, and some of them her elderly mother and father, who couldn't even walk hardly because they were so old and frail and had worked so hard. So she had wagons. But the power of one. Then we go to Daisy Bates, who was the head of the NAACP in Little Rock, Arkansas, 1957. She was instrumental in supporting, encouraging, and carrying the Little Rock Nine, the 9 high school students who integrated Little Rock Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. They may have never made it without her. She would go to the authorities, to the CIA, the FBI, the president, whoever she could get to, and beg for protection for these 9 young people. And somehow, by the grace of God, most of them made it through that year. Rosa Parks, whom you know, okay? Little lady, hardworking woman, riding home on the bus one day, sitting in the right section too for African Americans. She wasn't sitting in the wrong section. Bus got too crowded. All the seats were filled, and the white man got on the bus. The white bus driver says, "Y'all get up now," so he can sit down. So 4 African Americans were supposed to stand up so 1 white man could sit down because he couldn't sit on the same seat level as black people. Rosa said, "I'm not getting up." Maybe her feet hurt. I'm sure they did. She worked all day. The power of one. Malala. I can't pronounce her last name, so I'm not going to try. But 14 years old, a girl in Pakistan, riding home from school on the bus. Taliban soldier gets on the bus, calls her name out. Everybody looks at her, I guess, and he shoots her in the head, killing her, because all she wanted was an education. That is a human right. By a miracle of God, she survives. Do you think she quit? No, she didn't. The power of one. The power of one. One little girl. The power of one. Oprah Winfrey. I don't think we were on TV until Oprah Winfrey came on. I'm serious. I mean, you see a black person on TV every now and then, once in a while. But after she came on TV and her show was so popular, she hired blacks, and blacks were coming up everywhere, in every commercials, everything. And she did a lot, the power of one. Okay? Then, let me see now, where am I? Okay. We have my opinion, but okay, I'm the power of one. Michelle Obama, the greatest first lady we've ever had. I compare her to Eleanor Roosevelt, who had a lot of spunk. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a history major, so I read these things. Eleanor Roosevelt, she used to sit with the famous black people, the black people of note of her day. And the CIA and the FBI would come and pick her up by the seat, the whole seat, chair, and everything, and move her to the white side of the audience. But she would do that over and over and over again, trying to make a point. The power of one. I admire that because, her husband didn't like it. A lot of other people didn't like it either, but she kept doing it. And we have a lot of people in our community, the Eugene, Springfield, Junction City community, all of this community here, people that work hard to make a difference. And we have so many problems. The homeless is one of them. I never thought I've been here over 30 years. I never thought I would see so many Americans, and not bad Americans either, like our president says, living on the street. We got to do something about that. The power of one. We got to do something about that. Something that works. Because a lot of us have room. So something has to be done. Because it's not just women and children. I mean, men, it's not just men, but it's women and children too. That's a disgrace in a country with so much money. It's just a disgrace. My point is this: don't ever tell yourself or anyone else, I'm just one little person, what can I do? Remember, God is calling on you each and every day to get up and make a difference. And all you have to do is get yourself out of bed and praise God that you're able to do so.
The theme of this month's service is the power of one and unity, or unity. One of the major Jewish prayers is an affirmation of unity. It's the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel, the eternal our God, the eternal is one. If I want to make this more universal, I could say, listen, everyone, God is one. But frankly, I have trouble with the word God. It's too easily anthropomorphized, and that makes me uncomfortable. I've avoided the word God for years, but actually found some help about the word in a book by a Southern Californian Christian minister, Rob Bell. The book's titled, What We Talk About When We Talk About God. What really helped me was Bell's discussing quantum physics. Here are a few factoids he wrote on the macrophysics level. The universe is roughly 90 billion trillion miles away. Our solar system is moving at 558,000 miles per hour. It's part of the Milky Way, and it takes our solar system between 200 and 250 million years to orbit the Milky Way once. Our planet Earth is moving around the sun at roughly 66,000 miles an hour. Time is not constant. There is no universal up or down. The sun is matter and energy at the same time. Past, present, and future are illusions as space-time warps and distorts in a variety of ways. On the micro level, on the microphysics level, 1 million atoms lined up side by side are as thick as a human hair. Atoms are made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons and neutrons are in the center of the atom called the nucleus, which is 1/1,000,000th of a billionth of the volume of the atom. If an atom were blown up to the size of a stadium, the nucleus would be the size of a grain of rice, but it would weigh more than the stadium. These particles are made up of smaller particles, and even these particles are made up of smaller particles. There are more than 150 subatomic particles. To me, these are like universes within universes. I think, how many atoms are in our bodies or in trees? or leaves? How many universes within universes does this make us, or our planet, our solar system? And to complicate things more, electrons don't orbit the nucleus in a continuous and consistent manner. What they do is, one, disappear in one place and then appear in another place without traveling the distance in between. Or two, particles are constantly in motion, exploring all of the possible paths from A to B at the same time. They are simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. Well, for me, what this means is that each of us are part of something huge and complicated and beyond our grasp and understanding, both on the macrophysics level and the microphysics level. It's all part of a whole beyond our comprehension. I find that exciting. I find it easier to think about it if I label it the all. To me, God is the all. But I would rather use the word all than God. So for me, to make the Shema truly unifying, I would say, listen, each of us, the all is one.
This is some poetry by Nanak, and it's about yoga. Yoga means union, so whether you're talking about any religion, it's that ability to find that oneness inside. So here we are again, back to one again. And Nanak's saying that yoga is not attained by mere words, but yoga is attained by seeing the one in all. So even, if you're sitting around and you're sitting with your enemies, somehow you got to find the one. So this is a composition that was written about 500 years ago by Nanak. Jogi agale jogana hoi, Jogi gali jogana hoi, Jogi gali jogana hoi, ek drishta kar samasara jane jogi kaiye soi, ek drishta kar samasara jane jogi kaiye soi, jogi kaiye soi, jogi kale jogana hoi, jogi kale jogana hoi, jogana kinta jogana dande jogana basamacharaye, jogana kinta jogana dande jogana basamacharaye, jogana mundi munda mudaye jogana singi vaye, Jogana mundi, jogana dande, jogana kasmacharaye. Anjana mae, niranjana reye. Anjana mae, niranjana reye. Joga jugata eva paye. Jogi kali jogana hoi. Jogi kali jogana hoi. Ekadrista kara samasara jane jogi kaye soi. Ekadrista kara samasara jane jogi kaye soi. Jogi kaye soi. Jogi kali jogana hoi. Jogi kali jogana hoi. Jogana kenta, jogana dande, jogana basamacharaye. Jogana kenta, jogana dande, jogana basamacharaye. Jogana mundi, munda mudaye, jogana singe vaye. Jogana mundi, munda mudaye, jogana singe vaye. Anjana mae, niranjana reye. Anjana mae, niranjana reye. Joga jugata eva paye. Jogi kali jogana hoi. Jogi kali jogana hoi. Ekadrista kara samasara jane jogi kaye soi. Ekadrista kara samasara jane jogi kaye soi. Jogi kaye soi. Jogi kali jogana hoi. Jogi kali jogana hoi.
Good evening. This theme, the power of one. I am so blessed to stand here before you and to tell you that that sums up the Baha'i faith. It is so important. Unity, oneness is so important that the prophet founder of the faith had said that if religion is the cause of disunity, and I'm paraphrasing, it is better that there be no religion. We are one. That is the next evolution of humanity. And if you're against that, stand aside because the train is on the track and it's running down the rails. The great Dan Seals, who is no longer with us, wrote a song based on the Baha'i principles. And some of the lyrics of that song are, "We are one, the flowers of one garden. We are one, the leaves of one tree. We are one family." I remember as a boy sitting in church in Sunday school learning about the Lord's Prayer. And after giving praise to God, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, the very next thing that was said was, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." That is what we were supposed to pray for. And my religion tells us that we are one. That is the next emanation of humanity. And we need to understand that. We need to live it in our heart. We need to demonstrate that. This service is a great start. This is why we're here. We're coming together from diverse backgrounds, diverse cultures, diverse everything. And yet we can sit in this service and we can lovingly look at our brothers and sisters and know and feel secure. The whole world can do this. We need to continue to be that example. Thank you. Now I'm going to shift into my next portion, and that is the closing remarks. I wish each and every one of you could stand up here and see what I'm seeing. These wonderful faces who have chosen to come together tonight to be in fellowship with one another. You will continue to be the cement that will bring together our community. You will continue to be the inspiration for other communities. My wife had a vision. She had a vision about these monthly services happening every month at the same time at one location. 18 years later, you are the embodiment of that vision. You make her live on through what you're doing here, just as she lives on in my heart. Thank you for that. But these services need more than your physical presence here. It needs some of you stepping up here and seeing this view. Being here, right up here, looking out on your brothers and sisters and giving a presentation from your heart. So please, make yourself available to do that. If you look at your program, you'll see on the back major contributors who have contributed to making these services possible. They are not free. Believe me, they're not. Your generosity, your donations make these services happen every month. Your volunteerism helps these services to continue. It's not always about money. It's about time and energy being put forth. These services are dear to me because they were dear to my wife, and because they were dear to her, I grew to love them just as well. And now they are a part of me. And I cherish these moments when I'm here with you. There's so many opportunities to serve. There's so many opportunities to make this service a reality here and elsewhere, please contact the board members or anyone connected with IPSI to put forth your efforts and contributions. Finally, I'd like to tell you that there are going to be refreshments served at the end of this service. So I would like you to stay after the postlude and partake of the fellowship that comes with that refreshment. Get to know the people that are here. Extend your love and happiness. And there's one other thing, I'm not going to put them on the spot, but this service is about love. And there are two people here that met each other at these services, married, and became one. These services are about love and always will be about love. And I'm just so happy to see them in our audience today. That's all I'm going to say about it. And so finally, if you've enjoyed these presentations, as I have, self not included, please, at the end of the postlude, please show your appreciation for all the presenters. Thank you so much for allowing me to stand up here and bore you.
Well, usually I don't come back second time, but I came to do a peace prayer. I thought it would be appropriate to do it at the end. And this is for one and for all, no exceptions. And if you look at the second page towards the bottom, we have the translation for it, and I will chant it in Sanskrit. Om Asato ma Satgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Om Sarveshva Swastir Bhavantu Sarveshva Shantir Bhavantu Sarveshva Purnam Bhavantu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavantu Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you. And then postlude, please.
The chorus to this song, if you want to join me after you catch on, is our deepest calling is to soar on the wings of the Spirit. And I usually sing it twice. A couple of times I go off in different directions, but What is true for you may not be true for me, but that doesn't mean that I don't see that our deepest calling is to soar on the wings of the Spirit. It is our deepest calling to soar on the wings of the Spirit. And I am not ashamed, I am not ashamed, 'cause our deepest calling is to soar on the wings of the Spirit. It is our deepest calling to soar on the wings of the Spirit. Some folks fight about whose God is right, but it all depends upon your angle in the light. Because our deepest calling is to soar on the wings of the Spirit. It is our deepest calling to soar on the wings of the Spirit. And I am not afraid, I am not afraid, because our deepest calling is to soar. It's what the wise one said, and what the good book said, and what the silence says when I look inside my head. That our deepest calling is to soar on the wings of the Spirit. It is our deepest calling to soar on the wings of the Spirit. And I am not alone, I am not alone, because our deepest calling is to soar on the wings of the Spirit. It is our deepest calling to soar on the wings of the Spirit. It is our deepest calling. Do you hear it calling? Follow your own calling. What is your deepest calling?